Tonight, we're not hunting a person. We're hunting a lie. It's a piece of financial malware, and it's infected almost everyone. It's the anesthetic they give you while your portfolio bleeds out on the table. Our mission is to expose it, to dissect it, and to neutralize it for good. This lie has cost people trillions. It claims new victims every single day, quietly, inside brokerage accounts all over the world. But tonight we arm you with the truth, and the truth is a weapon.
You've heard this. You've probably even said it to yourself, staring at a screen full of red, feeling that knot in your stomach. It feels like comfort, right? A warm blanket that shields you from the reality of a bad call. It's whispered by brokers. It's chanted in Reddit forums. It's preached by TV gurus. But that comfort isn't free. The price is paid in lost opportunity, in wasted capital, and in shattered financial futures. It is, without a doubt, the most expensive piece of free advice you will ever get.
Let's be perfectly clear. That sentence is a lie. It's one of the most mathematically illiterate, financially suicidal, and intellectually bankrupt statements ever assembled. It's not a strategy. It's a coping mechanism. It's not an investment thesis. It's the epitaph on your portfolio's tombstone. And tonight, we're putting it on trial.
Okay, here's the mission briefing. We're running a 4-phase operation. 1. The indictment. We identify the lie and the people who sell it. 2. The evidence. We're going to look at the brutal, unforgiving math. 3. The mechanism. We expose the glitch in your own brain that makes you a willing victim. And 4. The verdict. This is your extraction plan, a non-negotiable protocol for survival. Pay attention.
All right, phase 1, the indictment. We're not just calling it a lie. We are formally charging this idea, and we are going to identify the predators who profit from your delusion. We're going to expose their motives, their methods, because this is not a victimless crime.
So who are the perpetrators? First up, the desperate broker. He's the guy managing your money. When his stock picks go bad, he whispers this little lie in your ear. Why? So you don't fire him. So you can keep collecting that 1% fee on your dying account. He isn't your partner. He's a salesman. And his product is your complacency. Next, you've got the diamond hands cults on places like Reddit. They shout it like a battle cry to drown out their own fear as they watch their meme stocks and crypto go to zero. It's a collective delusion. And third, and maybe the most dangerous of all, the high conviction guru. Think Cathie Wood of ARK Invest. She'll sit on TV, with her main fund having vaporized, 70% of its value from the peak? That's billions of dollars of other people's money, gone. And she smiles and calls it high conviction. That is not conviction. That's a cognitive defect pretending to be a strategy.
Okay, now we move to the evidence. This is the core of the briefing, so listen closely. We're presenting 2 exhibits. They are irrefutable. Exhibit A is the cold, hard arithmetic of ruin. Exhibit B is the slow motion execution of a corporate titan. This is where we lay out just how devastating the paper loss myth truly is. This is the part of the trial they pray you never see.
Before we get to the numbers, you have to understand the principle. It's called drawdown asymmetry. And let's be clear, this isn't an opinion. It's a mathematical law, like gravity. What it means is that the deeper the hole you're in, the geometrically harder it is to get out. Not arithmetically, geometrically. It's a concept every single professional lives by, but you almost never hear about it on the news. Why? Well, because it's bad for business. It encourages discipline, and the industry makes its money from your emotions, not your discipline. Now look at these numbers, and watch how the damage accelerates. You take a 10% loss, you need an 11% gain to get back to even. Okay, manageable. You're down 20%. You need a 25% gain. Annoying, but doable. But right here is where the math becomes a predator. A 50% loss doesn't need a 50% gain. It needs a 100% gain. You have to double your remaining money just to get back to zero. Think about that. You need a home run, a 100% return, just to fix one mistake. Now look, an 80% loss, that needs a 400% gain. And a 90% loss, it needs a 900% gain. A 10-bagger, a miracle. When you refuse to sell a stock that's down 90%, what you're really doing is betting your entire financial life on a miracle. Your capital isn't on paper, it's dead. And while that money is dead, you're paying a hidden tax every single day. It's called opportunity cost. That money you have trapped in some failing company, it's a prisoner of your ego. And it could be working for you. It could have been in a leader like NVIDIA. It could have been in a solid grower like Microsoft.
Hell, at the very least, it could be earning a risk-free 5% sitting in treasury bills, but instead, it's just rotting. The daily fee you're paying is the price of pretending you didn't make a mistake. Your real loss isn't just the money that vanished, it's the incredible gains you missed out on because your capital was tied up in a corpse.
Now, for anyone thinking, well, I only buy good companies, they always come back, we present Exhibit B, the 18-year public execution of General Electric. The year is 2000. GE is the biggest company in the world. Its CEO is called the manager of the century. You buy in at the top, around $60 a share. You think it's safe. Then the dot-com bubble bursts. It falls to 40. You tell yourself, it's GE. It's not a loss till I sell. Then 9/11 happens. It drops to 30. You say, fine, I'll just wait. Then comes 2008. The financial crisis hits, and GE's finance arm is exposed as a ticking time bomb. The stock crashes to $6. You are now down 90%, but you hold on. It bounces a bit, a dead cat bounce, all the way to $30 by 2016. You're still down 50% after 16 years, but you feel like you were right to wait. And then, the final blow. Accounting scandals. They slash the dividend to almost nothing. By 2018, the stock is right back at $6. Total destruction.
Negative 90%. That's the total vaporization of wealth. And think about who held this stock. Generations of GE employees had it stuffed in their 401ks. They were loyal. They worked for the company their whole lives and put their faith in it. They believed the lie, they waited for a recovery that was never coming, and they woke up 2 decades later to find their retirement gone. All because the abstract idea of a paper loss felt safer than taking a small real loss back in 2001.
And here's the most brutal part. The divergence. If that same GE investor had just sold their stock at a 10% loss back in 2001, took the cash and put it into a simple, boring S&P 500 index fund, they would have quadrupled their money by 2018. Instead, by holding on, by being loyal, they suffered a permanent, catastrophic loss of capital. Let this be a lesson. There is no such thing as a forever stock. The market's graveyards are full of companies that were once considered untouchable.
So that brings us to the obvious question. Why? Why do we do this? The evidence is clear, the math is simple, so why do we keep clinging to losers? The problem isn't in the spreadsheet, it's in our own head. It's a design flaw in the human brain.
The specific defect has a name. It's called the Disposition Effect. It was proven by 2 Nobel Prize winners, Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky. And what they found is that we are all, by default, hardwired to sell our winners way too early and hold our losers for way too long. It's a glitch in our mental software. We are programmed for financial self-sabotage.
And here's how it works. Their research showed we operate in 2 completely irrational modes. When we're winning, we become cowards. We get risk-averse. We see a small profit and we're terrified of it getting away, so we sell immediately to lock it in. But when we're losing, we become degenerate gamblers. We become risk-seeking. Faced with the certainty of taking a small, manageable loss, our brain can't handle it. So instead, we choose to gamble, hoping for some miracle recovery. We would rather have the tiny possibility of breaking even than the absolute certainty of admitting we were wrong. It's a perfect system for failure. We cut our flowers and water our weeds.
And this main defect has a few accomplices working inside your head. First, there's regret aversion. Brain scans literally show that clicking sell on a losing trade triggers the same pain centers as a physical injury. Your brain thinks it's being attacked. Second, the sunk cost fallacy. You think that because you've already lost money, you have to stay in. You let yesterday's mistake dictate today's decision. And finally, you have magical thinking. This is where you start telling yourself stories. You're no longer a failed trader, you're an involuntary long-term investor. You start looking for someone to blame, anything to avoid the simple truth. You were wrong.
So now we arrive at the final phase, the verdict. We've laid out the indictment, we've presented the evidence, and we've exposed the flaw in your own thinking. What follows now is not advice. It's not a suggestion, it is a protocol. A non-negotiable 3-step plan to get you out of the trap. This is how you fight back against your own worst instincts.
Here is the protocol. 3 steps. 1. Execute the overnight test. 2. Implement a mechanical stop-loss. 3. Fire your inner Cathie Wood. These are direct orders. Memorize them.
Step 1. The overnight test. This is the most powerful weapon you have for portfolio clarity. It cuts the emotional cord to your past mistakes. So you look at that losing stock. Let's say you have $5,000 left in it.
Now ask yourself this question. If that position magically sold overnight and you woke up tomorrow with $5,000 in cash, would you, knowing everything you know now, take that cash and buy this exact same stock today at this exact price? If the answer is anything but an immediate screaming yes, you sell. If you wouldn't buy it again today, the only reason you own it is because of yesterday.
Step 2, the mechanical stop loss. You cannot trust your grain when you're losing money. The pain, the hope, the fear, it's all going to override your logic. So you have to outsource the discipline to a machine. Before you ever buy anything, you decide your maximum pain point, 10%, 15%, whatever it is. You set a hard stop-loss order with your broker, and when the price hits that number, the computer sells. No hesitation, no emotion. A 10% loss is a flesh wound, a 50% loss is an amputation. The stop-loss is your tourniquet. It prevents a small injury from becoming fatal.
And that brings us to the final command. Step 3, stop averaging down. Stop adding more money to your mistakes. The legendary hedge fund manager Paul Tudor Jones has a sign on his desk that says it all: losers average losers. The price is going down for a reason. And 99% of the time, that reason is that the story has changed, and big institutions with way more information than you are getting out. Adding more money to a failed idea is not conviction. It's reinforcing failure. It's doubling down on wrong. You starve your failures, you feed your winners. Period.
So here's the bottom line. You have to accept it. The money you lost, it's already gone. It vanished the second the stock price dropped. It's a sunk cost. Clinging to that stock, hoping you'll get it back, is an emotional act, not a financial one. The past is done. The only question that matters now is this: what are you going to do with the capital you have left? Are you going to leave it in a proven loser, held hostage by your ego, or are you going to pull it out and deploy it into a potential winner, guided by cold, hard logic? The trial is over. The verdict is in. Execute.